Well, we're going to be giving away breakfast for the children and the families because right now everybody's doing lunch. Not too many people are dealing with anything besides that. So we're going to fill the void of breakfast and dinner for as long as we can. $10 on the breakfast bags. Till, what'd you say, Chef, till 1? 10 to 1, Chef Tariq says. Then 5 o'clock, 5 to 9 for community boxing. You see my man Drain back here doing this thing, Chef Tariq, Chef Chrissy over here. We got an all-star team, Chef Ariella. There's so many components to this. Well, to be honest, as much as I talk about accountability and being active, what would it look like if I didn't do nothing? Like, I can't talk the way I talk and not do nothing. That's the first thing. But the second thing, I love my people. There's nothing else to it. That's simple.
Right there. So if anyone would like to donate to what we're doing, here is the address right here, Tariq-Abdullah, and everything is going towards this whole project. Our goal is to basically be able to feed for the next 2 weeks and after that, hopefully. But we're going to do the best we can for our kids and for our community. Shout out to Solomon for allowing us to use the space. If y'all hungry, come get that fried fish sandwich.
You see that? We just trying to give back, so come get something.
It's Friday. Hi everybody, welcome to the update show. I'm your girl Trey Holiday, and like always we gotta shoot it on over to Big O. We got some headlines we need to discuss and let y'all know what's going down. Big O, what's going down on this happy Friday? Happy Friday to you, Big O.
Yeah, you know, we grew up Catholic, so we call it Good Friday.
There
too.
we go.
You know, my pops is watching, so
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, you know it's Good Friday, right?
Yeah.
Man, I mean, first of all, it's Friday, and I mean, we still here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Sleep, no sleep, you know what I'm saying? But we're still here, we're in the mix. Before I talk about everything else, man, in the intro there, they played The Deaf Chef and Feed the People. And, you know, I had an opportunity yesterday to walk the 2 blocks, because we really are in the community, the 2 blocks from South Jackson to East Yesler, to go over there to Soulful Dishes, where the Deaf Chef and Chef Tariq-Abdullah and a bunch of other chefs, man, they're literally feeding the people. And, you know, I left here yesterday, I felt so tired. I've been here, this is like 20-hour days trying to pull stuff together. And I was like, man, kind of feeling sorry for myself. I'm like, let me go over here, check on Deaf Chef, maybe get some food. But what I saw was so inspiring, man. Like, I thought I was tired. Those guys are exhausted, but they still at it. You know what I'm saying? Chef Tariq was out there, man, really, you know what I'm saying, literally feeding the people.
Wow.
You know, their commitment to make sure that, like, people in the Central District and even beyond the Central District, that they have breakfast and that they have dinner, you know, whether they have money or not, you know, it's real admirable. And, you know, actually it was energizing for me, because I thought I was going to call it a day, but like after seeing that, I was like, man, now these guys is really working hard. They're really making a difference, everything else. Big shout out to the Deaf Chef. Big shout out to Chef Tariq, Soulful Dishes. A lot of people wonder what they can do to support. There's something in there. We'll put like a Venmo up later. But, you know, the thing is, the Deaf Chef is still operating his restaurant. So, you know, he took his restaurant and transformed that into a community feeding station as well. So, you know what I'm saying, feel free, man, continue to order from the Deaf Chef, you know what I'm saying, order a pickup order or delivery order, support Soulful Dishes, support those guys over there, because that also helps them as well, you know what I'm saying. But man, it was real good to see, like, man, these guys, their commitment to community, you know, these black chefs really stepping up and setting an example.
Absolutely. Oh, it's so funny that you mentioned that you rolled up on them, because yeah, we rolled up on them earlier last week. And same thing, you know, just there, you know what I'm saying? They're being present in the community. Chef Tariq came out, let us know, hey man, you know, we're still out here, we're doing it. And it was so good to see him. And you're right, you know, they're tired, but they are trucking away. So shout out to them, man. That's what's up.
Yeah, we definitely want to do our part as a community to acknowledge all these chefs that have, you know, stepped up. You've got like Christy Brown, Eduardo Jordan. I mean, there's a lot. I'm not really a big foodie guy like that, so I know there's probably a lot more that I'm not naming off, but I do know Chef Trey Lamont down there at Jerk Shack. Actually, we got a small video clip from him we're going to play in a bit. But man, the black chefs in our community have really stepped up, you know, and emboldened and strengthened their network to make sure that like nobody's starving.
That's right. That's right. And I think that it's a real testament to community resilience, right? When we're talking about, you know, how did we do it back in the days? I mean, you know, community looked out for community. And that's what we're seeing now. Oh, you know, we're seeing that huge resilience, a huge rising, almost uprising of community love, right? Even from the philanthropy side, people outside of the community going, man, you know, we need to give to our people at this time. We need to give and make sure everybody's okay. So it's beautiful seeing that, especially from our people, the ones who grew up in the CD, the ones who grew up in the South End, really giving back to their communities. That's where it's at. Oh.
Yeah, no, it's definitely where it's at, and so we'll be following up more and more with the Deaf Chef and the Feed the People movement. You know what I'm saying, and what other programs are going on in the community. First thing we want to jump into today, Governor Inslee. He came out. You know what I'm saying. We want to talk about a few things. We want to talk about from the state level. Governor Inslee came out yesterday, released a new video, you know what I'm saying, basically encouraging people, man, stay home. Mm-hmm. You know, as the weather is changing here across the state of Washington and the numbers look, you know, kind of optimistic at the moment. If you recall, the U.S. Army built a 300-bed hospital down at CenturyLink Stadium, but they never used the hospital. So, you know, they've disassembled the hospital, they sent it to another state. But when people see things like that in the news, they're like, oh, man, they didn't need to use the hospital. You know, the curve is flattening, maybe less deaths. And so Governor Inslee put out a PSA yesterday to encourage people to stay home. You play that for us, DQ?
Yes.
Washington, you may have heard that we're sending back the Army Field Hospital at CenturyLink Field. And we're doing that because there are more urgent needs in other parts of the country. And this means we're all doing our part here in Washington to slow the spread of COVID-19. And so this is an encouraging sign, but there is a critical caveat. Our current projections are built on the assumption that people will continue in our state to follow physical distancing in their lives. This graph by the Institute for Health Metrics and Evaluation shows the fatalities we've experienced. We don't know if we're at the peak yet, but we hope it will follow this model and go down as this line would indicate. And now look at the preliminary estimate of what happens if we were to stop our distancing measures, even 2 weeks from now. As the blue line indicates, the number of deaths would go up. And we are a better state than that here in Washington. The threat of this virus is just as deadly now as it was on March 23rd, when I directed Washingtonians to stay home and stay healthy. We simply have to commit to the charge from public health to protect ourselves and our loved ones. And if you were wishing you were at a live sporting event right now, well, we just have to realize this. We're not even at halftime in this effort. We know the eyes of the country are on us, and so let's keep proving what's possible when we stand united, but at least 6 feet apart, against this virus. So I hope you can stay home, stay healthy, wash your hands. Good luck to us all.
All right, so you heard it there from the chief executive of the state of Washington. You know, he's saying that Washingtonians, for the most part, you know, we're doing our part. People are staying at home. We're socially distant. This is the furthest apart me and you've been on set maybe from day one. You know what I'm saying? Like we usually close together in our Studio A.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so that people are practicing social distancing and continue to listen. I think that like the West Coast as a whole, you know, everybody's kind of listened. Mm-hmm. You know, Oregon, they've got things contained right now. Northern California as a whole is kind of, you know, they're getting things in place. But you remember San Francisco was the first city to, at the time they called it a shelter in place. And San Francisco has really contained everything in places like Seattle and Puget Sound throughout the state of Washington. But if you go back historically, when the people like to talk about the Spanish flu or the flu 1918, the first wave didn't kill that many people. Everybody was like, yeah, it's over with. You know what I'm saying? Let's get it cracking. The second wave is what came through because people went back out. You know what I'm saying? The flu hadn't worked its way through. People went back out into the mix. They resumed, you know, their old habits. And the second wave was what hit. It was actually 3 waves with the Spanish influenza. And so, you know what I'm saying, we want to encourage people to listen. Are people you know, are they listening? You know, I was on Snapchat last night, man, and I wasn't supposed to let nobody know I got Snapchat. But I was on Snapchat last night, man, and it's a lot of non-distancing occurring, you know.
Wow. Well, it's funny that you say that because really, for me and what I'm seeing, I got a lot of people calling me talking about how they're getting that cabin fever. You know, just last night, Tony and I took the boys out to the BPA Trail and Federal Way, and it wasn't packed, but there were other families out there. You know, we were able to, you know, say hi to folks and, you know, keep it pushing. But I do feel that, you know, I'm seeing a lot of people following the rules, and I hope that that continues on because I think you're absolutely right when you're talking about the waves of the Spanish flu. People didn't understand that was actually happened in segments, right? It wasn't all one wave. It wasn't all at the first time. So it's really important that we build up the antibodies for the virus, and this is how we're doing it by practicing the social distancing. That's how we have to do it, though.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is as well is that there's not going to really be an on-off switch. You know, clearly they were able to cut the economy off fairly quickly, but turning it back on presents a lot of difficulties. Like, you know, how are people going to return to work in certain situations? You know, do companies need to adjust their HVAC and airflow in their buildings? Because unless you have some kind of test that can actually test everybody as to whether they've had it before, right, because they might have antibodies now that are now present in their system, or test them to see if they have it currently or if they've never had it before. You know, right, until that occurs, there's only been 2 million tests. 2 million sounds like a lot, you know what I'm saying? But there's 200 or 327 million people in America or something like that. So 2 million tests is a drop in the bucket. But of those 2 million tests, only 25% of them came back positive. So you can imagine they've tested 2 million people. 25% of the people that they've tested have turned out positive for coronavirus.
Mm-hmm. Well, the numbers don't make it seem that, I guess there's 2 discussions happening, right? Because you have some folks that are talking about the numbers don't make it seem as alarming, right? But then you have others that are talking about the segmentation of the numbers that bring out the alarming factors. I know that you reported on the increased rate of death in the Black community, for instance, right? And Black folks dying at a 70% rate when they were only in 40 percentile, you know, of positivity. So there is a lot of, as people are breaking these statistics down, we're learning more and more every time from every segment. Oh, that's the truth.
This is true. This is true. So that was the governor, like I said, the chief executive of the state of Washington with his stay at home. Also, Mayor Jenny Durkin issued an order yesterday closing almost all of the parks in the city of Seattle, especially all the major parks. So that would be, you know, Volunteer Park, Lincoln Park, Golden Gardens, you know, all the parks that people are really congregating, Alki. And the thing is like, yo, people been in the crib. The sun is out in Seattle. And for you guys that are watching that don't live in Seattle, it's rare that we get these nice weekends like this, especially in like an April or something. And I mean, man, people are already kind of getting out. You know, I live downtown Seattle, and so I've seen like more and more people, getting out the house. And so the mayor yesterday said that she's closing all the parks from tonight all the way through Monday to keep people out of the parks and to respect social distancing going into the Easter weekend. Can you play a clip for us, Daryl?
Sunshine in Seattle is an easy way to get people out of their homes.
It was a nice day, so I thought I needed to get out.
But that is exactly what city officials are afraid of, heading into a warm Easter weekend.
We really are taking this step because we think it's important for us to continue the really hard work of flattening this curve.
The city is closing major parks starting Friday evening through Monday morning. Places like Alki, Cal Anderson, Discovery, and Lincoln Park in West Seattle. SPD is hoping for voluntary compliance, but has officers standing by if that doesn't work.
But that being said, we do have the potential to write a citation to people who are out of compliance.
Oh, I understand why you need to do it. It's a shame because it's so nice to get out.
They say expected crowds would make social distancing too difficult. Hard to imagine with folks spaced out on the trails.
Here is better than Alki. Alki's rough.
Easier to see with the crowds already on the beach and bike path.
They're telling us we can get out and exercise and take a walk, so are we supposed to walk the streets? I mean, we got to walk somewhere.
Matthew and Mary Ward know some restrictions are necessary, but are starting to lose their patience for social distancing.
And are we going to be doing this till Christmas time?
Just one family feeling cooped up.
Yeah, a little bit.
With a few fewer places to enjoy a couple minutes outside.
It is nice to come out on an Easter weekend, but I understand the ramifications of being too close to each other.
Michael Crow, King 5 News.
All right, so you see right there on that clip, and that was King 5 News last night, that couple out there in Alki, they were like, well, look, man, we got cabin fever. They told us to get out and exercise. We supposed to walk in the street? Nah, we go walk over here at Alki. And, I was looking at some of the comments, around these posts, man, and it's kind of divided. Some people are like, man, the government shouldn't be able to tell you where you can walk and where you can go. And other people were like, man, chill out, fam. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's going through this at the same time. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that's really how we're seeing the division of the country. I mean, that's what I mean by there's multiple conversations happening, and when you look at different segments, it brings about a whole nother set of conversation. So for me, there's two things happening in my mind personally, right? When I think about all of these ordinances coming at us, is that the government can only do what they can in terms of trying to identify the best ways for us to be safe. And the one thing they identified was for us to be away from each other, practicing the social distancing. So for me, I'm like, hey, I think that this is unprecedented for everyone, and they're trying their best to a certain degree to try to make sure that we are safe. But there's also the people that are like, well, yeah, this is a slippery slope. And, they tell you now, like, okay, we're doing this for you guys' safety. But, in the Black community, the trust between the government and what they're saying and what's really going on is lean, man. It is thin. So I don't know, man. I can see people saying both sides. I mean, we want to be safe. We want to be indoors. But, yeah, people don't want the government telling them, every single thing, because that gets a little bit tricky, too. So I don't know. Oh, I'm kind of in the middle.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that, and actually, we're gonna play a clip, I think after the break with Diddy, Diddy of Revolt TV. They had their town hall because we're dying. Mm-hmm. You mentioned it earlier, the disproportionality of deaths. We don't necessarily see that in our state. But, our state, and especially Seattle's a little bit different. In our legacy Black neighborhood, so if you were to look in New Orleans, their legacy Black neighborhood, and in places like Chicago and Detroit, if you look at our legacy neighborhood, man, two of the best hospitals in the world are within 1.5 miles or 2 miles of where Black people live. That's the University of Washington Medical Center. We got Swedish, Then, from there, Virginia Mason,
Harborview.
and Harborview, world-class trauma center, and everything else. So even just in a geographic sense, you know what I'm saying? But a lot of places, the majority of America, where there's a lot of black people, man, even the distance between world-class, now it is a county hospital,
right?
You know what I'm saying? But world-class healthcare. So a lot of the things that we're facing here in Seattle, the majority of black people in metropolitan areas are facing a totally different reality.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
It's so true.
And I mean, and it's crazy. And like I said, Diddy is putting more of a spotlight on it. I mean, we put our Africatown media, we got a little flashlight.
Right.
We put our flashlight on this a few weeks ago when Josephine tested positive for corona, and we talked about the disparities there in Wisconsin at the time 2 weeks ago. All the COVID-19 deaths in Wisconsin were black people, all in the city of Milwaukee. So it's good to see that somebody like Diddy is using his platform. Magic Johnson also yesterday was on the town hall, the CNN town hall with Anderson Cooper and Dr. Sanjay Gupta, basically reiterating the same message that, man, ain't nobody coming to save us.
Right.
We got to save ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Nobody's coming to save us. It's good to see that, out of the White House, you got people like Dr. Fauci. Yeah. You also got the Surgeon General, who are also using their platform to bring awareness.
You mean President Fauci? No.
Man, I'll go for President Honore.
Right.
Remember Honore back during Katrina?
Oh, there we go.
General,
there we go.
Put down them guns, pick up them babies.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? But I mean, they're putting a spotlight on it. But like what Acacia said, and also when part of Diddy's clip is like, okay, this is cool. You're letting people know what's going down, but what are the steps? Because a lot of times, I think in America, we think that when we admit there's a problem, we think that that's also a solution.
Right.
And so, this is great that there's a spotlight on the disproportionality that's occurring in the black community. And the ship might not get righted during COVID, but the ship has to get righted because these disproportionalities, the root causes of these problems have always been there. Right now, they're being exposed through COVID. They've been exposed through, continuously throughout. I mean, if you're drinking water with lead and Flint, you know what I'm saying? Like, man, what's the susceptibility of your immune system?
Right.
And, and things like that. So I think that we got a great conversation coming up. We're going to take a short break right now. When we come back, we're going to play a clip that Diddy put up on Instagram, and then we'll talk a little bit more about the disproportionality in the black community. This is the Morning Update Show right here on the Africatown Media Network. Look at you. You ready for the weekend too. I hope you're ready to be locked up inside your house.
That's all right. I'll take it.
You'll take it, huh?
Yeah.
Man, I'm gonna tell you. The good thing is that, like, for me and where I live, even between here, Africatown, and my actual house is like, so it's all walking distance. And then like downtown, there's nobody.
Right.
So a lot of times when I'm walking, I got actual whole block to myself, which is wild. Welcome back to the Morning Update Show. My name is the Big O. I'm here with the very talented and lovely Trey Holiday.
Thank you, sir.
It's Friday. I think everybody can tell. They can tell that we got a little pep in our step today, man.
Absolutely.
It's been a long week. But back to this very serious topic of disproportionality on COVID. And, like I said, if you're black, it's kind of like, well, duh. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's very few black people who grew up black in America, whether us or right here in Seattle or my partner Sam Carter. You know what I'm saying? He's down south. You know, he's down there in Florida. I see he checked in. But everybody's going to tell you the same thing. He's down in Tallahassee. It took me a second. What's up, Sam? You know, say you got a great nonprofit that's going on down there. But the thing is, growing up black in America, man, you already know that it's like these disproportionalities occur. And I think that one of the things I like about the conversation is that people are talking about the surface cause. The surface causes might be bad diet, hypertension, diabetes, you know, all these underlying things. But there's an underlying factor beyond, beyond that. And it's the system. You know what I'm saying? And if we took ourselves out of it, if we took ourselves and we put somebody else into that place, and maybe if you can find that clip from the other day about the Navajos, Daryl, we might be able to play it here in a little bit. The Navajo Nation and Native Americans nationwide, they're facing the exact same things. And then 30% of Native Americans don't have health insurance. So we talk about the Navajos down there in Arizona. They're like, yes, the Navajos suffer from hypertension and diabetes and this and that. Man, the Native Americans been suffering. You know what I'm saying? It's underlying. The Navajo Nation has been suffering for a long time, well before diet. I mean, you got to look at the overall history. And I'm not one of those big, it's oppression and this and that. I'm not, you know what I'm saying? That's not really my vibe, although I recognize and understand it. But it's like, man, the cause is deeper than eating clean and green. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
There's actually a level of stress, even if you're eating good. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. I think that you said it best just now. It is the system. When we talk about things that are systemic in any culture, what we have experienced in terms of black culture and Native culture was literally built into the system for us to have those outcomes and those experiences. So when you're targeted as a culture to say, look, we're going to make sure that, they're eating the worst things, that they are in the most stressful situations, that they don't have access to all the things that we have access to, they don't have the equal rights, they're not having this and that, they have to fight for everything they're given. When the system is built that way, obviously, it's going to bring about a multitude of impacts that really affect the culture that the system was built and designed to do that for, right? It wasn't designed or built like that for white folks. So they don't even experience a lot of those same traumas or, systemic pressure and oppression that really causes all of these underlying outcomes. Ultimately, the system wasn't built for them in that way, but that's exactly how they plugged in black and Native cultures into the system.
Just real quick, and we'll go to this video from Diddy. I mean, you got to think, right? So we got direction from the White House and from state leaders and local leaders that said, you know what? Wear a homemade mask or scarf when you go outside. Man, a lot of white people, non-black people, they ain't think twice about that. Mm-hmm. Hey, Dr. Fauci says wear a scarf. Trump says wear a scarf. Let's go. Or make a homemade mask. Black people was like, nah, man. If I look like that, it looks like, you know what I'm saying? I'm a usual suspect. Dr. Sanjay Gupta was using a red bandana to make a homemade mask and this and that. There's things that non-black people would never think about. Yes. But then on the black side, people are like, damn, you know what I'm saying? Does this mask look like I just robbed somebody? Are the police gonna pull me over? Do I look like a usual suspect? My face is obscured. These are things that we're already thinking about that other people aren't thinking about. And you talk about why blood pressure is high and things like that in the community. Well, let me stop right here. Let's play this clip from Diddy's Instagram that he put up, kind of talking about the town hall that they did there on Revolt.
This is not a test. This is not a test. This is a real life or death state of emergency. I'm calling out to the African American community to give you some facts. We are in a life or death state of emergency. 1 out of 10 Americans are black. 1 out of 2 of the corona fatalities are black. We are in trouble, my people. We have to come together. We have to communicate. They're not going to give us any time on the news. They're not going to come up with the solutions for us. We have to come up with our own solutions. Check this out. Okay? In Illinois, out of 15%, 42% is African American. In Louisiana, African American. In Michigan, 41% African American. Out of 16,000 deaths, 8,000 of them are African American. So tonight I put together an incredible panel. Dr. Jess, Big Sean, Charles Blow, Latoya Cantrell, Al Sharpton. This is the mayor of Louisiana getting hit the hardest. My brother Meek Mill, Ayanna Presley. Van Jones is going to help me moderate because it's not my full-time job. I like to call her AOC, okay? Aaron Betrue. He's an economist. He's going to show us how to get to that bag. Got a $2 trillion stimulus package. We want our fair share. Royce the 5'9", Killer Mike, Angela Rye, YBN Corday, Kamara Jones, my brother Fat Joe, Reverend Al Sharpton. Let's go. Tonight on Revolt's YouTube, you can watch from your phone. You can watch if you're at home. So look at it as a mandatory family meeting that everybody must show up to, okay? We're going to be talking about the current state of our health issues and the coronavirus. We're going to be talking about the stimulus package, the economy, and how we get our fair share of the $2 trillion. And we're going to be talking about what's going on in the prison systems, which account for over 50%. Black and Latinos account for over 50% of the prison population. And it's going down. It's going down. We're getting killed off. This is not a test. Tune in tonight to Revolt, 11 p.m. Eastern, 11 p.m. This is the new 11 o'clock news, the black news, okay? That y'all need to listen to because we only get 2 minutes on the other news. 11 o'clock Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific. 11 o'clock Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific. Everybody spread the word, spread the word. As y'all can see, I'm just real passionate right now because it's alarming. And it's alarming that we're not alarmed. Ring the alarm. Ring the alarm. This is a life or death situation. I see y'all tonight on Revolt.
Yeah, I kind of feel like we just ran a Revolt commercial.
I know.
All right, Diddy, Diddy got to do it extra big. He just can't have like 5 panelists or something, man. It's still like music video. Yeah, I got the top epidemiologist in the world coming. You know what I'm saying? Bah. It's like, man, but it's a lot of love to Diddy though, man, to use the platform no matter what to expand the conversation.
Yes.
But how important do you think it is that I wouldn't say black leaders, that's overused, kind of black leaders, and a lot of black people ain't following the black leaders these days. It's like a whole remix going back. How important is it that people with a substantial platform are using their platform to build awareness about what's happening with the black community and COVID?
Well, I think it's important. One of the things that, I wanted to say in particular is that these talks are happening all over the nation. As Africatown, working on the land trust side, Africatown, we try and strive to be really connected to community. And so we're in talks like this right here for the Pacific Northwest, right? And I think it's really important for us to be really taking ownership of this. And I said it on a call yesterday, but I want to reiterate it here. I think it's really important. As these leaders are getting together, as these public figures are getting together and utilizing their fame, platform, networks, whatever, to really reshape and rethink what it means to have culture, we need to be intentional about rebuilding the culture in the ways that we had it back in the day. We cannot no longer continue in the same ways that we've been built when we're talking about the system and the systemic pressure, everything that we just described in terms of why blacks or natives may be experiencing higher rates of death during this virus are the very same reasons why we need to have a cultural conversation. We need to really change the culture. When I'm talking about black culture, culture, I'm thinking back to how were ancient civilizations built, right? They were built on a two-pronged system, right? It was called the social covenant, all right, which was nothing more than a shared set of values that the group said, yes, we agree to these values. Yes, we will live by them. Yes, you know, right? The group said yes, and they validated that shared set of values. And then what was done was there was a rewards and a condemnation system connected to that allowed them to be rewarded for utilizing that social covenant and also condemned when they did not utilize the social covenant. So those are the basic building blocks for how ancient civilizations were built. And if people like Diddy and Al Sharpton and all these major guys want to have these discussions, then it's important for them to start thinking about how we can control and reshape the culture. I think that it's really important. A lot of people are talking about empowering parents right now during this time, you know, sending messages like, you know, come on parents, you got this, you know, you can educate your children. But I think a lot of it needs to be done in reshaping and reforming the culture, because it will really answer a lot of the smaller segments that people are hoping, you know, are looking to answer. So, you know, it looks like his thing went live yesterday. I'm excited to kind of hear what everybody had to say. I really want to know what is on the minds of people like Angela Rye and, you know, Al Sharpton. What are they thinking right now in terms of rebuilding and reshaping culture?
What I want to know is just like, you know what I'm saying, there's a lot of times in our community, there's what's called paralysis by analysis. So, man, we got a lot of thinkers, and they're all very smart, even right here locally, in our zip code, and nationally. I want to know what we're going to do. This is great what you're thinking, but what are we going to do?
Yes, brother.
And even more than that is like, you know, I mean, when you talked about the social covenants, I think I might have failed that class on
Nobody knows that.
Anthropology.
Nobody knows that. But that's how they were built.
That's really, but you know, I mean, there's a lot of countries I've visited where that really is kind of, that is the kind of the way of life. But the whole point being is that when, and I'm not knocking anybody, I'm just saying that like, when something goes out from say New York, DC, LA, and it's, you know, it's a broad voice, it's cool because that voice is supposed to be for awareness. So I think we need to look at something like what Diddy is doing, what CNN and Magic Johnson are doing. They're doing the awareness. They're using the biggest platform. Magic Johnson went to CNN. It's the biggest platform for news. Diddy's using his Revolt platform, and all of these celebrities and stars and educators. It's huge. Their job is awareness. It's up to us on a local level here in Seattle. You see what I'm saying? They rang the alarm because a solution in Seattle looks much different than a solution in Detroit, which looks much different than a solution in Houston. So, you know what I'm saying? I'm not necessarily saying that like we need to put it on Diddy or AOC or Al Sharpton to solve our problems here in zip code 98144. That's the Central District, y'all. That's where we from. But So you know, there has to be some kind of hand-in-hand kind of partnership. It doesn't have to be a directly linked partnership, but we need to be saying right here in Seattle, hey, CNN, Dr. Fauci, Diddy, they've all put a spotlight on this issue. What can we do now right here in Seattle, Washington? What can we do in King County, Martin Luther King County, by the way? What can we do in King County, Pierce County, Thurston County to directly impact, you know what I'm saying, our people? We can have no expectation that Diddy is going to have the answer for us, or Dr. Fauci is going to have the answer for us, or Magic Johnson is going to have the answer for us. They've done their job. They're making noise. So, you know what I'm saying, it would be good if maybe we can make a call out to other community-based organizations that are here in Seattle of, you know, what kind of solutions can we actually put on the board and we check off the box. Because otherwise, man, we just pontificate. We just, you know what I'm saying? We just talking heads if we ain't willing to take action to make our community better.
I agree. And even tomorrow, there's we're doing a great call. White King has convened some great folks in terms of reshaping education and what that looks like and how we take ownership and control of that system, right? Because I think one of the things, and you just said it, we have to think about localized solutions. We have to think about the infrastructure we have locally, how to utilize that infrastructure to our benefit right now. And ultimately, I think a real big answer to a lot of what we're seeking, it goes back to community, right? It goes back to the basics of, community, really being involved in the rest of community, right? And that's really where the information comes through. It should come through that channel, right? Through community, you can actually restructure education, restructure what it looks like for folks to maybe start getting jobs, and what does it look like if we're, farming, taking plots of land and we're doing our own farms, we're taking the ownership. So I think you are so spot on when you say that it really is about the local leaders, and it really is about the local infrastructure for each state, each county, each zip code, whatever. But ultimately, it's gonna come down to local leadership.
I mean, the thing is, well, and even more beyond local leadership, it's gonna come down to local action. We can't. Man, there's nobody coming to save us. We've been here 400 years. No one's coming to save us. We have to save ourselves. So like I said, this is good that the awareness is there. And the awareness has been put out there in a way that no one can run away from it. Right. So even if years ago someone's like, there's no black disproportionality in healthcare, there's no lack of access and everything else, from the office of the President of the United States, they've made it very clear that this disproportionality and this lack of access is real, and it's been there for a long time. Now, I mean, it's like I challenge our viewers, I challenge our friends, Facebook friends, in-person friends. What's our commitment going to be to changing our future? COVID, I'll be honest with you, a lot of us ain't going to make it. It's just what it is. You know what I'm saying? But we might not be able to right the ship before COVID is out of our system here in America. But we need to be thinking right now, how do we protect ourselves? How do we start working towards, you know what I'm saying? And yes, there's a health element of it, but I think, man, it's a big mental space element of it. I mean, one thing I like about all these times going back and forth over to the continent of Africa, man, is some things I knew I didn't have to worry about. You know what I'm saying? I didn't necessarily ever have to worry about being racially profiled, this and that. I mean, there was a lot of stress that just went on. You got a different kind of stress because you might have infrastructure issues or this and that. But the stress around race leaves you.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And it's such a burden that comes off of your shoulder. You land somewhere like Nairobi, Kenya, or Lagos, Nigeria, or down in South Africa. And as soon as you land, the burden of race is lifted.
Bruh, so true. I just wanted to say that. So true. I mean, I'm remembering my time in Kenya, and just as soon as I landed. And the funny thing is, I don't know if you've ever traveled to the continent with a bunch of white folks, but let me tell you, it is something different when you are the one that is experiencing that relief, right? And they actually are the ones that get off the plane and experience,
Sure.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's such a reversal. So I'm just glad that you said that. You've traveled there many times, and so I know you experienced that many times. Anybody, now we can't go, but that's the real. That's where it's at.
I'll be back. You already know. You just mentioned something interesting. You said that White King, the Africatown Community Land Trust, you guys are doing a call or a follow-up with other community organizations. So can we expect some feedback from you early next week? Maybe we get White King out here and talk about, man, what's the action plan? We gotta tell him. The best thing about White King, man, he's a big thinker too. What's up, world? Sitting here thinking on something. But when it's time to act, guys act. So I mean, hopefully you can come back to next week and report back to the community as to what the plan of action is, at least around Africatown Land Trust and the coalition that the Land Trust is building. And this is what they call a great segue. Actually, Daryl, if you could cue up this Land Trust segment, we're going to go into that, my friend.
Yes.
We got a new Feel Good. It's Friday, so we have a new Feel Good Friday video from the Land Trust, kind of highlighting the Liberty Bank building. And before we go into that, you work with the Land Trust. You're a big Willie over there at the Land Trust. We got some viewers here who might not really know what Africatown Community Land Trust is. Maybe you can kind of briefly talk about that, and then we'll go into this video and talk about it some more.
Absolutely. So, really, the land trusts in general are built to provide and create spaces for community ownership of land, right? And what that basically means is we want to create permanent affordability by buying up land, building buildings on that land, so that we say, this is a land trust building, this is land trust land. We want to make sure that all of the rental units in this building, or whether it's a house or whatever, that it stays permanently affordable. So that's the basic goal of the land trust. And you know, a lot of people in Seattle know Africatown as just Africatown, the entity, but there's a lot of work that's done for that entity, and there's a lot that's put into each element of that entity. And so the land trust is the one that you see, the Liberty Bank building, right? That was one of the projects that Africatown connected with Capitol Hill Housing, Bird Bar Place, BCI. So they did a whole partnership, but that was one of the first actual development projects that the land trust was a part of. So we weren't the main developer, but we were a part of that to ensure that we had black residents coming back to the CD, and that black contractors were working on it, and that black businesses would be housed there. So that's where you see the work of the land trust. It's really about ensuring that there are spaces and places for our culture to thrive.
Yeah, and so for some of the people who might be viewing, they're not from the Seattle area, basically the Central District, where we're broadcasting from right now, you know, it used to be an 85% black neighborhood. This is where, like, you know, you got people like Jimi Hendrix and Quincy Jones and Ernestine Anderson, and I mean, it goes on and on. This is the cultural epicenter. Ray Charles actually got on out here, you know, years ago, but it's been gentrified. And so basically what Africatown Community Land Trust has done is, I mean, man, it's all about buying back the block. Everybody wants to talk all this, whatever, man, I'm stunting of this and that, man. Real stunting is when you can buy back the block and you can build a $40 million building and you can move 100, you know, with 115 units in it. Real buying back the block is like Africatown Plaza. The next building is coming up, 138 units, a $60 million building. So, you know what I'm saying? What we doing out here in Seattle is we're literally buying back the block, but we ain't buying back the block for ourselves. We buying back the block for our people to give affordable housing, and all the people who've been displaced through gentrification, we're bringing them back to the block. You know what I'm saying? So I just got to put it in some other terms, because a lot of places in America, they don't wave the white flag. You know, they've been, oh, we've been gentrified, fam. We've been this and that. In Seattle, believe it or not, we out here fighting for every inch. It's no surrender. We're continuously building and we're continuously developing. Boy, I'm woke now.
Yes.
Daryl, we got a video here, man, for Feel Good Friday. It's narrated by Greg Lewis, former NFL running back. Also grew up kind of right Central District South End. And he's now the executive director at the Meredith Matthews YMCA. And he just gave us some perspective about the ribbon cutting day there at the Liberty Bank building.
Yes.
If you could play that, Daryl.
I was at the grand opening of the Liberty Bank building, and I just saw so many folks there who had dreams and aspirations of something like that happening again in our community, where once that was the norm, we developed, we build, we created, and now to have to say we got to come back and do it again, this is just the first time, was inspiring to me. I think it also I think Africatown has created a model that others can follow, but I also think that you guys have created, you know, just an energy around the community of folks that are now believing that we can, you know, hold on to it. We're not done. You know, it's not over. The game ain't over. And sometimes, you know, when you look at the clock, you know, I'm playing sports, you know, you're down 21 points in the first quarter. You can either start working harder to get back in it, or you can shut it down and say it's over. Well, you guys have let us know that the game's not over. It's not over.
Oh, touch my heart, honestly. Working with the Land Trust is one of the things, that to be honest, it just gives me so much pleasure, you know, being born and raised in the Central District and then working on the solutions to ensure that our people have a place to thrive and to still be able to call the Central District home. We grew up here. We knew the business owners. We knew every corner of the Central District. So I love being a part of the Land Trust and actually providing new places for our people to come back that were gentrified, just like my family was in 2003. They're coming back, and I love being able to be a part of that movement. I think Gary just hit it on the spot. Being there at that Liberty Bank building opening was a true awakening where people understood this is different. This is us, you know, and this is about us. And so, you know, I think it awakened a lot for many, many people, because after that we had a lot of people going, man, what is up? What's up with this Land Trust?
Real.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? I mean, man, there's been some people, you know what I'm saying, whether in person here or nationally, it's been talking about for years. Oh man, if we get some money, we're gonna build a school, or we're gonna build some housing and this and that. Man, listen, we got it all together. You know what I'm saying? Clicked up with other likewise organizations, got the land, got $40 million, built the building. You know what I'm saying? People are living in the building. It's brick and mortar. You see what I'm, you know, Africatown Plaza is up next.
Yeah.
Like I said, 138 units. So, you know, I only bring that up because we get people now viewing from outside of the Seattle area. I mean, like, this is what we're really doing here. We love our community. We haven't given up on our community, like Greg Lewis said. And, man, we're striving and thriving. Speaking of that, we're going to take a short break right now. We got something for our viewers who aren't really from the area, but they're checking us out today, and we appreciate you watching. It's We Are the CD.
Yes.
And you are watching Morning Update right here on the Africatown Media Network. All right.
I'm trying to contain myself.
All right, so we're going to need the Kleenex for you.
Yeah,
out here,
it's such a great one. I mean, as soon as you first showed it to me, I mean, honestly, I think that you're so right. If no one knew who we were through that video alone, they going to learn.
Yeah, I mean, it's real deal. You know, you always get these people out here. Ain't no black people out there.
Right.
Ain't no this and that. Nah, man, we here.
We are here.
Man, before we get out of here today, you know, it's been a rocky last 7 days or so for Chef Trey Lamont and the guys down there at the Jerk Shack. You know, Jerk Shack was one of these businesses that wanted to remain open and, again, feed the people, feed the community. and things like that. And because of the nature of insurance policies and catastrophe insurance and everything else, he was forced to close his business and lay off his employees last week. At the same time, though, their beer, so Jerk Shack, they got a beer, they teamed up with Metier Brewing, which is the only black-owned brewer here in the state of Washington, located in Woodinville, Washington.
Shout out to Metier.
Shout outs to Metier. So they teamed up, and Jerk Shack actually has a beer. Now, Trey, the day it came in, this is why it's good to have friends in high places. The day it came in, you know what I'm saying, we passed by over there and got to sample the beer, and it's dope. So Jerk Shack is closed. Why I wanted to play this clip with Trey is because Jerk Shack is closed. But the beer is here, and, it's at PCC. So whenever you guys are getting out, don't encourage going to the store every day, but whenever you get back out and go shopping, man, go pick up the beer from PCC. Let's support this young brother. Let's support what he's doing in his business. I mean, as many beers as I've drinking over the years, man, I wish I had my own beer. Can you play that clip for us, Daryl?
Nice.
Yo, I'm here at the local PCC here in Columbia City, and guess what I found? I found Jerk Shack and Matier's collaboration of Black Stripe in here in the beer section. Come and get your Black Stripe from the PCC, any PCC out here in Seattle, come grab it right here. Coconut Porter, Black Stripe. See the chicken? Check it out.
Oh, yes. Shout out to my guy, Trey. My
Trey
Garfield,
Lamont.
Greg,
That's
you know what I'm
another
saying?
bulldog from the
Bulldogs in
Central
the
District,
house.
man.
That's what's up, yo. He was on our show. I got to interview Trey just a couple of weeks ago when he was just keeping the restaurant open, trying to make sure that he was providing for his employees, man. So I love seeing that. Such a great, good Feel Friday. Oh, I love that. Shout out to you, Trey.
I wanted to leave that one there, man, for the end of the show, and really encourage people, man. Trey is somebody, ever since he was a little kid, man, he's always been giving to our community. Yeah. 100%. He's been giving to our community one way or another. Like I said, the Black Stripe beer is there. It's like a dark beer. It's got like some coconut infusion into it. It's fire.
You liked it?
Yeah.
All right. There we go.
And the thing, I think Trey know me well. I just asked for one. He was like, man, take all of these. Just take these with you. You know what I'm saying? So, Black Stripe beer at PCC. If you get out and about, go shopping, man. Let's support Trey Lamont. Let's support Jerk Shack, man. That's a family that's always supported us, not only here at Africatown, but the Central District as a whole.
Absolutely.
Any last words before we get out of here for the weekend, Trey?
Oh, enjoy your weekend, people. That's all we really want y'all to do. Have a great time. Like I said, I was able to just yesterday get out to the BPA trail with the family. If you're able, walk around your block and then go back inside. You know what I mean? Don't give yourself the cabin fever, but do something quick. A quick little walk will do it.
That's it. And, again, we want to make sure and remind everybody, from the governor's office, man, let's continue the social distancing. I mean, this is what we know is working. So, I know it gets tough at times, like you said, and this is going to be probably the warmest weekend of the year here in Seattle. Quarantine, when it first came in, it was all rain and doom and gloom. So people were like, I'm not going outside anyway. But if you know Seattle, it only take a smidgen, like my mom would say. It only take a smidgen of sunshine to get people out. And so, I know you're going to want to get outside, man, but let's continue to flatten the curve here in Seattle. And just a reminder as well that the parks are closed. After, I think, 6 o'clock today, the parks are closed until Monday. So, knowing in advance the parks are closed, the police will be there writing citations. So you might just want to remove the parks from your planning. Until Monday, and we're going to get some sleep finally this weekend.
That's right.
Until Monday, have a wonderful weekend. Be safe, be blessed, and, man, continue to do all the right things. And we'll catch you here Monday at 11 a.m. on the Morning Update on the Africatown Media Network.